Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we got another episode of reviewing NHL teams so far as we have finally hit Team 20, as today we got the New York Rangers, as this is a pretty exciting team to talk about. For the future, at least. Their right now roster, I gotta say, especially with the East Division that they gotta go into, it's very deep. You got a lot of good teams like Washington, like Philly. The Islanders are there as well. We got the Bruins, the Sabres. There's so many good teams, but let's get into talking about the New York Rangers. But before we get into talking about that, if you are new to the channel, make sure to slap that subscribe button and hit that like button as well. That'll be very much appreciated. So let's officially get into talking about the New York Rangers, as they got a pretty big cushion penalty of cap. I think that's just like a bonus cushion. Is 7.5% of your current upper limit, blah, blah, blah. So it means that I think they're over the cap. I think it's what it means. Now, don't butcher me on it, but I think that's what it means. But yeah, they got a lot of cap problems that they're still kind of dealing with, but they bought out Lundqvist this past season, and they're paying the biggest part of Kevin Shattenkirk's contract this year, which is $6 million. The rest of it is smooth sailing from there, so you're not going to be having $13 million almost off your cap space. So next year, the New York Rangers will be able to do a lot more with their roster. But let's kind of get into their offseason and talking about what went on for the New York Rangers, as they got lucky and they won the lottery practically again, as they got Alexis Lafreniere. Which it's just a steal. This has transcended the rebuild for the New York Rangers from kind of just being there, kind of slowly rebuilding, to now a team that could win in the next 2 years. Laffy had 112 points this past year. Laffy is a game changer for the New York Rangers and is going to be a real big player. They brought in Braden Schneider and then just another ton of picks, which I think some of them will actually do pretty well. I think Braden Schneider will be a very solid defenseman for the New York Rangers, especially for the future of this squad, when their defensive core is definitely not the strongest piece of the core for the New York Rangers. It's definitely not the greatest thing in the world. You go to trades, nothing really happened for trades. They got rid of Mark Stahl, which got rid of a lot of cap space for them, much needed cap space. They also did a deal with Calgary, which got him Braden Schneider, and they also traded away Elias Anderson, which, I mean, we were talking about in this in LA video that if Elias Anderson is able to have kind of like a comeback year and plays a lot better, then great. Then LA has a great guy. And Elias Anderson, I mean, he needed a change up in New York. He wasn't really belonging in New York. He wasn't really fitting in with that squad, I don't think. And I think it's going to be better for him to go to LA, where he will be in a new place, where he'll have another chance to kind of produce and play a lot better than what he did in the New York Rangers squad. So I think that move was a very good one. They got a decent prospect here in Will Cooley, left winger for the Windsor Spitfires, who has been producing not too bad. And same with the Olinka Gretzky Cup. He didn't play too bad in that tournament either. Might be a little bit of a project, but he is a big kid and might be a future player for the New York Rangers. In the offseason, otherwise, they didn't do dick all. They got Jack Johnson. $1.15 million for Jack Johnson. They brought in like some depth players in Kevin Rooney, just kind of filling in the squad a little bit here and there, filling it with some pieces. They did get Ryan Strome back to a deal, 2 years at 4.5. Lemieux to a 2-year deal, which I think is a really nice steal of a move there. Gorgiev, a nice cheap deal for Gorgiev. D'Angelo as well, 4.8 for 2 years. Not too bad. The problem about D'Angelo is that he can't play defense. Like that's the biggest thing I think I'm going to complain about with this New York Rangers team, is when you look at the roster, right? They added in Laffy into their offensive core, which will kind of bring another offensive winging kind of powerhouse. They need a centerman. I mean, Mika Zibanejad for sure. I know a lot of people love Mika Zibanejad there in Ranger Town, and he played absolute fantastic last year with 41 goals. We'll see how well he does this year, especially with some more added offensive talent. But how well are they going to be playing defense? They were one of the worst teams defensively last year, and that was their biggest problem going up against, example, one of the teams against Carolina in the play-in rounds. They got absolute fucking smacked, and everyone's like, oh, this team should be good, but they got 24th in the league in goals against. I think the way that Jeff Gorton's taken this is he taking it this slow. He knows that he doesn't have a lot of money this year. He's going to let Shorkin kind of develop this year. Get him that first full season in the NHL, especially since he did have a decent year last year, but he only played 12 games. He's going to have to kind of prove himself and really play a lot more. And same with Georgiev. How well will Georgiev play as well will be a testament since he had a 910 304. Will he perform next year, especially under this defense core? It is a very young defense core. Jacob Trouba didn't have the greatest year. D'Angelo wasn't the best defensively. Lindgren and Fox, two good defensemen right here. Fox had a great year last year. Lindgren. And what the hell were they thinking with Jack Johnson? Jack Johnson was one of the worst analytic people that you could possibly look at, and the New York Rangers decided to pick him up. Now, for the grading of the New York Rangers, because I think this team, honestly, and I'm going to give it to you Rangers fans, this team looks fantastic for the future. It really does. The way that you guys have built the future of your squad looks really good. You could definitely use some better defensive prospects, but with adding Braden Schneider, that definitely does help. But you need better defensive. Jack Johnson wasn't that guy. Jack Johnson's not going to fix your team defensively. Unless you're going for all offense, which is a total possibility. I don't know if you guys can rely on your good goaltending with Shortkin and Georgiev. They're really young. You are relying on a guy that only played 12 games in the NHL. And who knows, maybe Shortkin can be that huge player for the New York Rangers and just change everything for them. That could be totally a possible case. But he's going to have to prove it this year, and that's going to be the big thing. But this team is a young team. They're still sort of rebuilding. That's probably the plan with Jeff Gorton, is taking it slow. Their offensive core, right? You have a lot of guys that could develop into a really good defensive player. For example, like Brett Howden. Philip Chatil might even be able to jump up, which makes that core a lot deeper. And Flaffy plays great, and Gaucher played great, and they have some good depth. This team could possibly be a playoff team. But I think with the grade this year, I'm going to give them a B+. I'm not going to give him an A, because the reason why I'm not going to give him an A, because of Jack Johnson and overall them not getting any more defensive veteran help. They're just going to be mainly relying on the core, which I'm not offended or not, I guess, pushed back by, because of the fact that they bought out so many people and they don't got any money. Like, they got nothing. So they needed to focus on getting Strom. They need to focus on getting D'Angelo back on the team and Lemieux. So the moves that they did was very good. Getting Laffy is great, but they could have added a bit more, especially this team could be a serious powerhouse in a year or two. It's really that close to the New York Rangers already. But I'm going to end the video here. Tell me, guys, what you guys think the grade should be for the New York Rangers. I gave them a B+. Tell me, guys, in the comments section below what you guys think, and I'll leave it here for you guys, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Adios, amigos.